Published September 11, 2017 at 12:01 a.m. Updated September 11, 2017 at 12:19 p.m. Alex Gilhar, fantasy writer, editor, NFL.com. What a week. We should have known it was going to be a wild one as soon as the Chiefs upset the Patriots on Thursday night, but the first Sunday of the NFL season definitely did not disappoint. Plenty of big-name fantasy players disappointed, but that's the way the cookie crumbles in this fake game based on a game we all cherish so dearly. On a sadder note, several stars suffered injuries in Week 1 as well, something we never want to see, but especially in Week 1. Hopefully, they can recover quickly while their backups pick up the slack. While there are 2 games still to come on the Week 1 slate, a Monday night doubleheader, which, attention league people with actual influence, you should do more often. Below are 11 players to add on waivers this week. Stay tuned for Matt Harmon's waiver-wire deep dive and Matt Franciscovich Week 2 streaming article published Monday for more under-the-radar options. Until then, here's who you need to be targeting. 11 photos total. 11 Michael Conroy, Associated Press. Tarik Cohen, RB, Chicago Bears 1.0% owned. If you missed Tarik the Human Joystick Cohen's NFL debut on Sunday, do yourself a favor and watch these highlights. Cohen took his 5 carries for 66 yards and caught 8 of his team-leading 12 targets for 47 yards and a touchdown. We wondered in the preseason if Cohen would eat into Jordan Howard's passing game work, but it appears this could be more of a full-fledged committee after Cohen played on 43% of the plays to Howard's 56. Cohen needs to be one of the priority ads this week as there's no way the Bears stop using him after that display. FAAB suggestion 35% 10 Frank Victoris, Associated Press. Javorius Allen, RB, Baltimore Ravens 1.6% owned. Danny Woodhead was off to a hot start for the Ravens, but pulled up with a non-contact hamstring injury, the same thing that dogged him in the preseason. That opened the door for Javorius Allen to come in and surprisingly lead the backfield in plays 29 to Terrence West's 25. Allen is a nice dual-threat player, capable of running between the tackles and catching passes out of the backfield. He gutted out 71 yards on 21 carries against the Bengals, but failed to haul in his lone target. Baltimore loves to target backs though, and if Woodhead misses significant time as the team fears, Allen could at worst slot into that role, and at best take over the lead duties from West. Either way, he needs to be added before Week 2. FAAB suggestion 20% 9 Jose Juarez, Associated Press. Kerwin Williams, RB, Arizona Cardinals 0.1% owned. Today was a tough one for David Johnson fans. Not only did the superstar back struggle on the ground, 11 carries, 23 yards, but he suffered a wrist injury that could keep him out several weeks, if not more. That puts Kerwin Williams at the top of the waiver wire list, especially for those who drafted Johnson. Williams didn't get a ton of work in this game because the Cardinals were behind, but he did come in and score a touchdown immediately after Johnson suffered his injury. He'll be the starting running back and should receive the most carries from the backfield, career 5.4 yards per carry average, though Andre Ellington could work in more as a receiver. We'll know more about the extent of Johnson's injury on Monday, but for now make sure to have Williams' name circled when it comes time to put in waiver claims. FAAB suggestion 30% 8 Associated Press. Kenny Golladay, WR, Detroit Lions 1.7% owned. If you follow any fantasy analysts on Twitter, you likely saw them throwing fuel into the engine of the Kenny Golladay hype train. Well, in Week 1 that train hit speeds previously believed to be unreachable after the rookie scored 2 touchdowns and racked up 69 yards on 4 catches. Golladay has the athletic profile and talent to be true difference maker, and the only thing possibly holding him back will be market share. He saw 7 targets in this game, but that could have been partially because Marvin Jones drew Patrick Peterson in coverage for much of the game, 37 plays, allowing 2 targets, 1 wreck, 6 yards, and a touchdown. Jones and Golden Tate were on the field for 94 and 87% of the snaps, respectively, while the rookie clocked in with 62. Golladay needs to be picked up this week, but owners should be mentally prepared in case Jones jumps back ahead of Golladay in the pecking order next week against the Giants. FAAB suggestion 5% 7 Waihu Associated Press. Austin Hooper, T. Atlanta Falcons 3.9% owned. There were plenty of believers in Austin Hooper's breakout potential, and he sure made them feel smart on Sunday as he beasted his way to 128 yards and a touchdown on 2 catches. Hooper has to compete with a talented crew for targets, which could be a weekly uphill battle. However, his athleticism and potential were on full display against a sneaky good Bears defense. Tight end is a pretty touchdown-dependent position anyway, and at 6'3", Hooper has the size and speed to score from distance, or in the red zone. He's a great target, especially if his role begins to expand. FAAB suggestion 10% 6 Mark Tennelly Associated Press Nelson Agholor, WR, Philadelphia Eagles 1.7% owned for a while. Nelson Agholor seemed to be heading toward the dreaded first-round bust label. Not anymore. An off-season of focused work and a move to the slot netted the former USC standout a new lease on life, and a new role as one of Carson Wentz's favorite targets. Agholor only played 61% of the offensive plays, 70% of which came from the slot, but tied for the team lead with 8 targets. The good news for Agholor's fantasy outlook was that he averaged 12.6 air yards per target, 16th highest in Week 1 prior to Sunday night. That is buoyed by his deep touchdown catch, but it shows Agholor has the vertical ability in his game that boosts his weekly ceiling. Agholor received plenty of hype from the team and front office this offseason, and it's time for fantasy players to take notice. FAAB suggestion 5% 5 Jeffrey T. Barnes Associated Pre-Charles Clay, T. Buffalo Bills 3.8% owned. It always feels good when your research lines up into actual fantasy production on Sunday, and that was the case for many fantasy analysts with Charles Clay this week. The Bills' offense is a run-heavy unit, but Clay led the team with 9 targets, catching 4 of them for 53 yards and a touchdown. Clay has been with Tyrod Taylor for the quarterback's entire tenure in Buffalo, so the two have a chemistry that can't be rivaled by new additions like Jordan Matthews, Zay Jones and Andre Holmes. Clay's ceiling is low, but in PPR formats, he offers a nice floor, and for those just chasing touchdowns, he could continue to be a factor in the red zone. Clay draws the Carolina Panthers, who figure to be tougher on tight ends in 2017 with a healthy Luke Kuechly. They allowed George Kittle to catch 5 passes for just 27 yards in Week 1. FAAB suggestion 13% for Paul Spinelli Associated Press Alex Smith, QB, Kansas City Chiefs 16.5% owned. No, this isn't an overreaction to Smith's epic performance on Thursday night, 368 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Smith has long been a viable streaming fantasy quarterback, and his upcoming home matchup against the Eagles sets him up to post another solid fantasy outing. The Eagles lost cornerback Ronald Darby to an injury on Sunday, whom they recently acquired via trade with the Bills. That'll open up more holes in a secondary that allowed 240 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception to a struggling Kirk Cousins. If you streamed the position in Week 1 or have a quarterback with an unfavorable matchup in Week 2, Dak Prescott at Denver, for instance, Smith should be in play as one of the better options available on waivers. FAAB suggestion 15% 3 Michael Dwyer Associated Press Chris Hogan, WR, New England Patriots 43.1% owned. Chris Hogan is pretty widely owned, but this is just a reminder to take a look and see if he's free in your league. With Danny Amendola suffering a concussion in Week 1, Hogan could see an uptick in volume in the Patriots' suddenly thin receiving core. We know he's a big play threat for Tom Brady, and he'll certainly have usable weeks moving forward. FAAB suggestion 1015% to Associated Press Alan Hearns Marquise Lee, WRs, Jacksonville Jaguars 1.83.2% owned. The news of Allen Robinson suffering a torn ACL is just brutal. Robinson was in a contract year and a big piece of the Jaguars' passing attack. His absence now puts the spotlight and pressure on Allen Hearns and Marquise Lee to perform. This is going to be a low-volume passing attack as evidenced by Blake Bortles' 21 attempts on Sunday, the second lowest in the league among QBs who played the whole game. Sorry about your luck, Tom Savage. Both of these wideouts have performed at times in the past, but neither made much of an impact on their 4 targets against the Texans. They certainly warrant a speculative ad, but don't go crazy here. The Jaguars expressed their intent to be a run-first team all off-season, and they made good on that promise in emphatic fashion in Week 1. FAAB suggestion 13% 1 Bill Fay Associated Press Ted Ginn, WR, New Orleans Saints 29.6% owned. Like with Hogan, Ginn is simply a friendly reminder, especially those who had to quickly take Odell Beckham Jr. out of the lineups on Sunday night. Ginn is available in roughly 70% of NFL.com leagues, and with Willie Snead serving a 3-game suspension to start the season, he'll see plenty of run. FAAB suggestion 5%.